What's up? What is up? So it's October 28th? No, October 29th, 2022. And this is where we are. Where are we? Recovering from the flu. My son got me sick last weekend and kind of laid me up for the first couple of days at the beginning of the week. Haven't really been able to go to the gym. I try to work out and then I get this wheeze. I'm still coughing the rest of the congestion out, so that's kind of annoying. Especially after it wasn't really more than 2 weeks ago that I had the appendicitis. So there have been hurdles related to health that have kind of gotten in the way of developing the routine that I was really hoping for. But my spirits are high, and that's really what's important. I am filming the first 2 episodes of the podcast series that I am starting next Saturday, so that's 7 days away. I've got my first 2 guests lined up, 2 of my closest friends, respectively, and I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to be a very meaningful moment for me in relation to the actual journey and what we'll be getting into further in the future. So all in all, there really isn't any bad news. If anything, I'm just a bit disappointed at the inability to really go as hard as I can in all of the endeavors as a result of getting sick kind of consistently, or consecutively. Let's go with consecutively. But that is neither here nor there, and we do the best that we can, and we work through it. And the cool thing about being sick at this point in time is that it's temporary, and we just move on, and we just keep going, catching up on work, and still able to learn while being sick, even though there might be less motivation. I find, and I'm sure that other people can attest to this, that when your health isn't in order, you just have less of a desire to achieve or excel. I was talking to one friend over the week about this, and he was really encouraging me to look at being sick as more of a mindset. Whereas, yeah, it could be the case that your body is failing you in some way, i.e. a fever or a cough or a sore throat or a headache. However, you can fuel that negative experience with more negativity going on in your head by saying, yes, I don't feel well, and as a result, this is how I now behave because I don't feel well. And I will admit that that is definitely something I have a tendency of doing. Growing up as a child, I was definitely a mama's boy, and I was spoiled, and I would get everything I wanted, and in the times that I would get sick, I would rely on her for comfort. In my 30s, I am now working to unlearn those habits associated with being sick, where you call out of work and you have this opportunity to rest up, and the thing that I want to do is like eat your favorite food and watch some silly popcorn movie and veg out in your bed or on the couch and just like wait for your body to get better. And it's becoming a process, since it's like I said, back-to-back weeks of having something wrong with me, and just learning, okay, well, first off, let's frame the mind so that we can still be productive in this moment of having your body not at 100%. And that's been a process, and that's how I'm looking at the whole thing, as positive. And I'm sure within the next day or two, I'll be back to 100% and I'll be able to feel my best. But prior to then, it's all about framing your mind in a way that you can still take advantage of the days that you're experiencing, even if it's at a somewhat more limited capacity. So it's a process, just like everything else, and I'm learning to enjoy all the different aspects of it. What else is going on? What else is going on? What if we just kept talking about the thoughts that have been going on in my mind? I think about what I could be doing with a greater amount of financial resources at my disposal. This podcast that I'm filming, we're going to be shooting in a studio, and the studio's in downtown LA, and I'm renting it for 4 hours. The crew that's helping me film it has graciously agreed to film the first 2 episodes for free. However, if I decide that I want to continue working with them, then there is going to be a rate associated with their services, so far as the filming and the recording and them providing that video and audio equipment. So that, coupled with the actual cost of renting the studio, then you have to factor in editing, you have to factor in the promotion of the content, and it becomes more of a it becomes something to budget. If I had it my way, if I had my druthers, then I would just plop $10,000 into the project and purchase all the equipment that I could, purchase a new camera, maybe multiple cameras if I could afford it. But that's kind of what I mean. If I had slightly less limited resources, I would make sure that I owned everything, have access to a studio that I didn't have to continually pay for. I could just go to it and I didn't have to book the space or anything of that nature. I just had access to that studio and kind of wholesale the whole experience, where I don't have to keep renting or going out somewhere, or if I had access to my own editing system, things of that nature, how much more streamlined the whole process would be, as opposed to right now everything feels piecemeal, and every single element of the project has to be budgeted for and has to be considered and has to, there's a collaboration involved of multiple different pieces in order to get, one project made. One project out of thousands. I would say that the good news is that it forces me to get better at communicating, get better at working with people, delegating. Again, it's a financial thing, but at the same time, what I have been telling myself is that in a way, I'm kind of grateful that my resources are limited, and my time, which is also resources, is extremely limited. What with my full-time job and my son and my very small amount of social life that I still am able to manage outside of everything. The reason why I feel a sense of gratitude for my limitations is because it creates a higher necessity for managing those limited resources, budgeting your time and budgeting your money. And I see that as a skill that if I was, let's say, like a trust fund baby, wouldn't have that skill. I wouldn't need to develop the skill of learning exactly what's necessary, priority management, task management, delegating. Perhaps I could still learn delegating if I had unlimited finances, but I think you get what I mean. Starting at this point and taking full stock as to what I have access to, what I'm able to do, what I can't do, what I would like to do in the future, it creates a greater perspective of the now and where I want to end up in the future, where I am in a position where I just have far more at my disposal than I can say that I do right now. I like the whole grassroots thing, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It's not that bad. It's just like, oh, man, if I had $10,000, $100,000, what I could do with that money, what I would be able to produce and create. But it's good to plan that out, write it down, and actually think, when I have the opportunity to and when I have access to those kinds of finances, this is what I'll do. In the meantime, this is what I'm able to do. It's not so bad. It's all about perspective. All about perspective. I think another thing I want to learn is just getting comfortable with the camera in front of me and having it record and talking to it. Because when I actually think about what it is that I'm doing, that literally is a huge piece of it. Getting comfortable in front of a camera and just talking. The first of many jobs that I will be, more so services, the first of many services that I will be providing is that of a health and wellness consultant, as I've previously discussed. In fact, within the next couple of days, I am actually going to be pushing that service via social media and just reaching out to people who are interested in really having an accountability buddy, a person to talk to about their specific goals in health and wellness, which is specified down to focus and adaptability of the mind. Are you able to set yourself on a course of achievement of a goal that you have in mind, or are you struggling, and at what point are you struggling? Would a person that you could speak to on a consistent basis be helpful? Not that I'm really trying to set myself up in a position of being an expert on how individuals can achieve their goals, but more so I would like to present myself as an example of a person who is focused on their own and illustrate the steps and the mental patterns that I implement on a daily basis in order for me to stay focused and stay adaptable in order to achieve the goals that I have in mind for myself. The clients that I want to retain in the future would really be reaching out to me because they like my methods and they would like to perhaps adopt them themselves and continue to collaborate with me because they find it beneficial. That's really it. I try to steer away from the concept of motivational speaker, life coach, or really anything that resembles a guru of some sort. Because in the end, I don't really feel the need for gurus to exist. It creates too much of a hierarchy amongst humans, as opposed to just people helping people. That's the business that I want to be in. I'm helping myself, this is how I'm helping myself, and this is how I would like to help you if you feel that you need it. Simple as that. That's the plan. Conversations. Having someone to talk to. I feel like this shirt's a little busy, but we're so far into it, I'm not gonna change it. Other thoughts that I've been having. I'm starting to think, as obsessed as I am about peaking my body in the most aesthetic way possible, I'm really starting to consider just how integral peaking my mind should be considered. In fact, I would go so far as to say that this whole pursuit of creating the best physical example of myself, and by relation of the best physical example of the apex of all alphas, which is the character and the brand that I'm working on creating and solidifying during this project, is that the mind has to be even stronger, even more chiseled, even more disciplined, and even more inspiring. And that's a new thought. It's a relatively new thought. I would say leading up to the past couple of months, I was thinking that my mind was already good. I already had all the stuff in my head in order to achieve everything that I wanted to achieve. Instead, it's just like, you just got to do the work. You got to do the work and get shredded and make a bunch of money and just live your best life. But once you actually get started, you start to become aware of the changes that have to occur in one's own mind in order to really see such a large ambition through to fruition. Haha, just rhymed. So yeah, I'm grateful for learning that. And now that I kind of have that understanding, it makes the most sense in the world for the product being a exceptional mind being far more valuable than the presentation of an exceptional body. I want both, but I see the value in one exceeding the other, which is surprisingly not something I considered. But there you have it. We continue to learn and we continue to grow, and that's another part of why it's so fun and exciting to have a goal and pursue it, because as a result of just setting yourself on a path to achieve something that's just out of reach, you have to learn so much in order to reach it. And the amount of fun that you can have in that learning process. I was never much of a learner. I was never much of a person who sought knowledge on a daily basis, where it's like you just wake up like, all right, what can I learn? But I have always been goal oriented, and I've always been prepared to learn whatever is necessary whenever it comes to achieving a specific goal that I have in mind for myself. So now we're just throwing that goal much further out into the distance and creating an opportunity for myself to learn as much as possible in order to achieve a goal that is much more difficult to reach than goals that I've achieved in the past. I would say I'm setting myself up for a full life when I consider it that way. All right. Well, this is a good check-in. Next time you see me, you might see me with a friend of mine, and we're going to be in a white room talking about the apex frequency. That's going to be a good time. I hope that goes smoothly. I will be spending the next 7 days visualizing these 2 episodes and imagining how the conversations should go, and it's going to be like the first tier in the 3-tier level of this story that I'm telling: the apex frequency, the apex of all alphas, this story about a man who, my one friend, he's like, oh, I get it, you want to buy the world. How much does the earth cost? That's kind of the story. That was his very short summation of the story I'm working on telling. I think if I had to summarize it myself, it'd be more like I want to create a large network of individuals who work together and help each other and establish a new world order. With me not so much at the head of it, but more so at the center of it. My vision doesn't really have a head. Instead, it's just a bunch of equals working together in moments that are required and working separately when help is not needed. That's the idea. I'll continue to get better at articulating it, but that is what I want to accomplish in my lifetime. And then after that, movies. All right, well, this was fun. Great checking in with everyone. And we'll see how much editing of this video I actually do before I upload it. Because that's another thing I gotta get more practice at. I've never really been good at revising and editing and shortening, but kill your darlings. I understand the things to work on. Like and subscribe. More content coming soon. Thank you.